Deep within the Imperial Palace, under the Himalayan mountains of Holy Terror sits the Golden Throne, entombing and sustaining the all but destroyed body of the Emperor of Mankind, an ancient and arcane device whose origins can be tracked back to the Dark Age of technology. The Golden Throne is perhaps one of the most important items in use within the Imperium to this day. In this video, we will explore the throne's long history, learn more about the strange device itself, and discover how the Imperium plans to use it for millennia to come. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Long before the events of the Horus Heresy, while exploring a sunken ruin within Asia's vast deserts, the Emperor would discover the basis of the device we would come to know as the Golden Throne. It is unclear whether the Emperor fully knew of its existence, as he was unsure if he had ever seen the device before. Despite being rare beyond belief, it is not the only one of its kind. Later, within the Great Crusade, a device known as Dark Glass would be discovered. A similar technology, no doubt made by the same creator, found far out from Terra. Dark Glass was thought to be designed as a platform to test the technologies that would later result in the creation of the Golden Throne. Despite being far less powerful, Dark Glass was still very important to the Imperium, and the Emperor even set about to restoring it to full working order. Unfortunately, problems started to arise fairly early into the restoration, when the station's warp rift drew the crew mad, resulting in a fully fledged massacre. Dark Glass sat abandoned until later into the Horus Heresy, wherein it was rediscovered by the White Scars, who at the time were being pursued by a fleet of Death Guard and Emperor's children, led by Mortarion himself. In order to save themselves and ensure the traitor legions could never get their hands on the powerful piece of technology, the White Scars destroyed the station, having just enough time to hold open a stable portal to Terra and make their escape. The Emperor planned to use the Golden Throne as a way for humanity to access the Eldar webways, a significantly faster and somewhat safer form of travel than using the warp, which at the best of times is volatile and at the worst lethal. The webways were the logical next step towards building a sustainable Imperium once the Great Crusade came to an end, as it would allow a being to simply enter a portal and emerge wherever they chose in the galaxy. The Imperium, even at this point, was huge, and communications, ships, and sometimes even whole planets would be swallowed or lost thanks to the volatile nature of warp travel, making the webways an ideal alternative. The Emperor set to work on creating his project deep within the Imperial Palace. The machine chair was suspended over a set of gigantic mechanized doors, so large that even a Warhound Titan could pass through without problem. The throne was placed at one end of a hall, vast enough to fit 6 fully equipped companies of Space Marines within. As well as this, the throne was also connected to the Astronomicon, a huge warp beacon that acts as a point of reference for astropaths and allows them to traverse the warp. Warp travel is a topic I plan to go into much greater detail in later videos, so I will not cover that topic today, but instead will link that video once it is up in the description if you would like to learn more. 200 years into the Great Crusade, the Emperor decided to leave the front lines of battle and withdraw to work solely on the Webway project, granting his son Horus the title of War Master in his absence. Turning his back entirely on matters of the Crusade, save only for the Council of Nicaea, he set into place the Council of Terra to watch over matters of state and withdrew to seclusion. So secretive was he about the project that he did not even tell his own sons, the Primarchs, what he was doing, who at this point were deeply upset and confused at the departure of their beloved father. Though this was not the only reason for the heresy that would occur some years later, it can be seen as a contributing factor that fueled the traitors' fires, as many of the Primarchs, even those that stayed loyal, felt betrayed and cast aside. Once back on Terra, the Emperor began to set his plans into motion, sending thousands of workers through the portal in order to construct a new short section of webway that would link them to the extended network put in place by the Eldar. The original parts of the webway are constructed of a psychically resistant material in order to hold back the warp, and since humans could not replicate this, the Emperor channeled his powers through the Golden Throne to create a psychic barrier around the newly constructed human networks. Although this sounds like a great feat of psychic strength, the Emperor is a psyker of such power that it requires very little concentration from him in order to keep this operational. The Emperor continued towards the completion of his project until the start of the Horus Heresy, when Magnus the Red, Primarch of the Thousand Suns, used his sorcerous powers in an attempt to contact his father directly, and warn him of the War Master's treachery. However, by doing this, Magnus inadvertently created a huge hole in the Emperor's psychic shields that were set in place to protect the newly formed section of the webway. Demon hordes flooded into the man-made tunnels, slaughtering thousands of Adeptus Mechanicum workers. The Custodian Guards and Sisters of Silence, who were on hand at the time, were forced to hold back the demonic onslaught as it carved a bloody path towards the portal in an attempt to breach Terra itself. No matter how hard they fought, they were delaying the inevitable. As one demon fell, 10 would be there to take its place, and it was not long until the order was given to abandon the webway and fall back to the Imperial Palace. Being a psyker of immense power, the Emperor managed to seal the portal leading to the webway. However, in order for it to remain closed, he was now forced to remain on the Golden Throne permanently, holding back the armies of Chaos from being able to breach the gate and enter freely into the Imperial Palace. Later, Vulcan, Primarch of the Salamanders, would install the Talisman of Seven inside the throne room. This device is used as a failsafe, for if the Golden Throne should ever fail, it would detonate, destroying not only the Imperial Palace but the rest of Terra with it, denying the forces of Chaos from ever taking the throne world. During the final battle with Horus, when the vengeful spirit's shields were lowered, a powerful psyker was required to take the Emperor's place on the Golden Throne so that he could face his favoured son one final time. In a previous conversation between the two, we learn it was originally the Emperor's plan for Magnus the Red to take his place on the throne once the time came, as Magnus himself had inherited much of his father's psychic abilities. But with the Thousand Suns now under the thrall of Tzeentch, Malcador the Sigillite, First Lord of Terra and beloved friend of the Emperor, bravely took his place. Though Malcador was a powerful psyker in his own right, he was still merely a man, and within several hours of interment, the exertion of the task had all but killed him. Malcador's final gift was to transfer the rest of his life energy, what little he had left, to the gravely wounded Emperor on his return, giving the tech priest the precious few moments needed to switch the two and place the Emperor into his final resting place. The Emperor's broken form would now be kept alive through advanced stasis fields and psi-fusion reactors that unfortunately had long since passed from the understanding of the Imperium, making repairs near impossible. Just as Malcador had done when the Emperor was first interred into the throne, the continued sacrifice of psykers was also required in order to sustain his power, and so began the never-ending task of finding psykers in order to bring them back to Terra so that they may have the honour of being sacrificed to the God Emperor of mankind. By late M36, the Golden Throne had started to require an even larger amount of sacrifices to be made, and by early M41, the number was almost 4 times as large in order to keep the Emperor and the machine running at optimal condition, with no signs of slowing its hunger. It was later discovered by the tech priests in the last year of that millennium that mechanisms far beyond their abilities to repair were now beginning to fail within the throne. Faced with the inevitable death of the Emperor, and with him the Imperium as we know it if repairs could not be made, the tech priests turned to the Xanthine Inquisitors, one of the most radical wings of the Inquisition, who gladly step over the line of what could be considered heresy, but whose outlandish methods may just be what they needed. Together, the Inquisitors and tech priests launched an expeditionary force into the webway, battling their way through demons and harlequins alike in order to reach the Dark Elder city of Camorra. It was within the confines of Camorra that the Imperium struck a dark bargain. Although the nature of this bargain is as of yet unknown, it can be speculated that they may wish to either bargain for an ancient piece of Eldar technology they believe could help, or employ the services of the vile homunculi, who, provided they have enough flesh to work with, are known to be able to resurrect fallen Eldar, bringing their once lifeless bodies back from the dead. Dealings with the Dark Eldar are dangerous, and show firsthand just how desperate the Imperium is, as the price they will have to pay for the services of the Dark Eldar is likely to be a harsh one indeed. I hope that you have enjoyed this look into the history and lore of the Golden Throne. Just like everything within the 40k universe, it has quite an interesting history behind it. I plan to do many more videos like this, looking into the interesting lore behind the Grimdark universe. If you have enjoyed the video, please do leave a like, and if you have any thoughts on what was covered in the video, do leave a comment. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.